This is Deanna Radley, a 37-year-old mother whose life would take a horrific turn, ending in the unthinkable tragedy of killing her own daughter. What's more shocking is that just days later, she would be seen dancing on TikTok, seemingly without remorse. But the woman you see in these carefree videos is the same person responsible for a heartbreaking tragedy that no one could have predicted. In the late hours of March 23, 2023, at around 10 p.m., officers from the Midtown Hills precinct responded to a frantic 911 call placed by Deanna herself, claiming there had been a shooting in her home. When they arrived at the address, they would discover the lifeless body of 13-year-old Daria Radley, her daughter. What should have been a routine night turned into a nightmare for the Radley family. But the true horror of that night would only unfold once investigators began piecing together the disturbing details of what happened. This is the tragic story of Daria Radley, a bright and loving young girl whose life was cut short in a devastating chain of events. And as the investigation would reveal, it was a series of choices made by her own mother that ultimately led to this devastating outcome. But what followed after the crime would send disturbing questions through the community. But before that, let me take you back to how it all began. This is the tragic life and death of Daria Radley. Daria Radley, known to her friends and family as Daria, was born on April 5, 2009 in Nashville, Tennessee. At just 13 years old, she had already made a lasting impression on everyone who knew her. A 7th grader at G.T. Moore Middle School, Daria was described as a bright, loving, and compassionate young girl who had a way of making the world around her a better place. Daria was not only a gifted singer, but a performer at heart. Her angelic voice and captivating eyes made her stand out, and it was clear that she had a natural talent for music. She was known for her ability to sing with emotion, and her voice, pure, beautiful, and full of life, had already started to make waves in her local community. She often performed for family and friends, always bringing joy to those around her.
And anybody knows her knows she loves to sing, so remember by that angel voice of hers.
As the oldest of 3 siblings, Daria embraced the responsibility of being a loving and protective big sister. She was fiercely devoted to her younger brothers, always looking out for them and making sure they felt loved and supported. The bond she shared with her siblings was evident, and she cherished every moment spent with them. Whether they were playing games or just hanging out, Daria always made time to care for her brothers, showing them how much they meant to her. In her free time, Daria loved listening to music, with artists like Blueface and Lil Yachty often topping her playlist. Her love for music extended beyond just listening. She enjoyed singing along and even dancing to her favorite songs. Music was more than just a pastime, it was a vital part of her identity. Her mother, Deanna Radley, fondly recalls how Daria's kind-hearted nature always shone through in everything she did.
She loved to sing, dance, and she loved to always sing. She loved her family. She was very outgoing. She loved going to schools.
Daria had an uncanny ability to make people feel special and valued. She was the kind of person who went out of her way to make others feel welcome, always putting others' needs before her own. Her warmth, generosity, and selflessness were qualities that defined her, and her infectious energy and positive outlook on life made her someone you couldn't forget. Everyone who knew Daria described her as an incredibly special individual. She had the type of spirit that brought people together, making them feel like they belonged. In school, at home, and among friends, Daria's love for life was evident, and it's clear that she was on her way to achieving great things. Tragically, her bright future would be cut short far too soon. On the night of March 23, 2024, tragedy struck when Deanna Radley, Duria's mother, called 911 in a frantic panic. It was just before 10 p.m. when Deanna's world was turned upside down. A gunshot rang out in the home, and when police arrived, they found Duria unresponsive and severely wounded from a single gunshot wound. Deanna, overwhelmed with grief and disbelief, later explained to authorities that the shooting was a tragic accident. She was searching through her purse for her keys, unknowingly handling an unholstered .40 caliber semi-automatic pistol that had been placed among other items in her bag. But little did she know the worst was about to happen.
Words can never describe the pain that I feel.
In the chaos of rummaging for her keys, the gun discharged and the bullet struck Duria in the chest, fatally wounding her. Deanna described the horrifying moment she saw blood spilling from her wound and desperately attempted CPR until the emergency responders arrived. Despite their best efforts, Duria tragically succumbed to her injuries shortly after being rushed to the Vanderbilt Pediatric Emergency Room. At just 13 years old, her promising life was taken away in an instant. The world she had once lit up was forever changed. After receiving the 911 call, officers from the Midtown Hills precinct responded quickly to the Edge Hill Avenue address. When entering the home, the officers found Duria lying lifeless. The scene was heartbreaking, with her mother by her side, devastated and in shock. Despite immediate medical intervention, Duria would be pronounced dead on the scene. But this was just the beginning of a chilling series of events.
This shit's a nightmare, man. This shit hurts. My heart hurts. My heart hurts so bad, man. And all I can sit there and just do is fucking cry. No, I want my baby. That's what I want. Give me my baby, man. 13 years, that was my baby. We've been through everything together. My baby go, my heart go. It's in my head, oh Lord Jesus. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. Oh, my baby bug. Oh my God, D. Oh. Baby. Oh. I hold to y'all babies tight. And tell them you love them. No parent should ever have to go through this, what I'm going through. I can't.
Detectives quickly began piecing together the events of that tragic evening. Deanna, although heartbroken and distraught, cooperated with authorities, explaining the circumstances leading to the accident. She expressed deep regret for the tragedy, emphasizing that she had no intention of harming her daughter. She revealed that she had not realized the gun was loaded and that the shooting had been a tragic accident that unfolded in a moment of chaos. The police continued their investigation, carefully documenting the scene and gathering witness accounts. The firearm in question was seized for evidence, but the question of how the gun ended up in Deanna's purse remains a key part of the investigation. While the tragedy was undoubtedly a result of an accidental discharge, the circumstances around the presence of the firearm in the home and whether proper precautions had been taken with its storage would continue to be scrutinized. Deanna was asked about her history with firearms, but there was no evidence to suggest that she had ever intentionally placed her daughter in harm's way. It was revealed that Deanna had been searching for her keys in the same bag where the gun had been stored, unaware of its loaded state. Investigators from the Nashville Police Department continued to examine the circumstances surrounding the presence of the firearm in the home and whether it had been stored properly. While the police investigation was ongoing, the community rallied around Deanna and her family, offering support and expressing their condolences. They understood that this tragic event was one of unimaginable grief and loss. However, the question of responsibility continued to linger in the air. In Tennessee, gun safety laws require proper storage of firearms, especially when children are present in the home. As authorities continued their investigation, it became clear that this case, while a tragic accident, would also spark wider conversations about firearms safety. But what is truly disturbing is the aftermath of such an event. Shortly after Daria's death, her mother, Deanna Radley, would set up a GoFundMe page asking for donations to help cover funeral expenses. However, when the media caught wind of this, headlines began to paint a chilling and unsettling picture. Mom begs for cash after accidentally shooting and killing daughter while searching for keys in purse. These revelations raised deep, unsettling questions. Did the media exploit this unimaginable tragedy for clickbait, or did a grieving mother truly place financial concerns above the life of her own daughter? A few critics began to question the family's intentions, accusing Deanna of using her daughter's tragic death for financial gain. They pointed to the GoFundMe page as evidence, and the accusations quickly added a layer of hurt and confusion to an already unbearable situation. The GoFundMe page was established to support the Radley family in the wake of this devastating loss, with the goal of helping cover funeral costs and offering a little financial relief during their time of grief. The community came together to show their support, with many contributing donations and offering heartfelt messages of sympathy.
She spoke of Daria with deep affection, expressing a profound desire for her daughter to be remembered not by the tragic circumstances of her death, but by the love, warmth, and joy she spread to everyone she encountered. The emotional toll of losing a child is unimaginable. And while the scrutiny of Deanna's actions undoubtedly added further pain, her unwavering determination to honor Daria's memory kept her grounded. She wanted the world to see Daria as the vibrant, caring soul she was, rather than a victim of a heart-wrenching accident. Amidst the ongoing investigation into the tragic shooting, uncertainty continued to shroud the details. Was it truly an accident, as Deanna claimed? Well, a grieving mother's actions, such as setting up a GoFundMe page or sharing a tearful video, are often seen as typical in such circumstances. They were met with harsh judgment from some. Critics labeled her actions a cash grab, but this accusation lacked both solid evidence and compassion. The sensationalist narrative pushed by different media outlets further exacerbated the situation. These media outlets propagated a story without full factual support, and some even suggested racial bias was at play during their coverage. In times of grief, it is essential to approach such situations with empathy, refraining from casting unwarranted suspicions against a grieving parent. The focus, instead, should be on honoring the memory of the beautiful 13-year-old Daria Radley and supporting her family through this gut-wrenching loss, no matter what the investigation concludes. It is important to remember that justice must prevail and accountability must be upheld. As the investigation continued, the focus remained on the accidental nature of the shooting. Despite the tragic circumstances, no one had yet been arrested in connection with the incident. Deanna Radley, though devastated by the loss of her daughter, was still the primary figure in the investigation, and police were working closely with her to understand how such a heartbreaking event occurred. While some had hoped that the tragedy would lead to an arrest, especially considering the events surrounding the presence of the firearm in her purse, authorities were still processing the information. The police department worked methodically, interviewing family members, examining the firearm, and gathering further evidence. They reviewed security footage from the home and neighboring areas to see if there was any additional information that could help clarify the tragic situation. Investigators were mindful of the delicate nature of the case, as they did not want to rush to conclusions without ensuring all details were carefully examined. As of now, no charges have been filed against Deanna Radley, but the investigation remains ongoing. For many, the question still lingered. Should Deanna face charges related to the accidental shooting of her daughter, or was this truly a tragic mistake, a consequence of an unforgivable accident that no parent should ever experience? The loss of Daria Radley left an immense hole in the hearts of her family, friends, and the broader community. In the days following the incident, heartfelt tributes poured in for Diarra, with many expressing shock and disbelief at the unimaginable tragedy. Diana, despite her grief, remained steadfast in her commitment to honoring her daughter's memory, sharing heartfelt tributes on social media and encouraging others to remember the joy and kindness Diarra had brought into the world. Those who knew Diarra well spoke about her angelic voice and love for dance. Her teachers, classmates, and friends remembered her as a caring, compassionate, and nurturing soul. She was described as someone who always went out of her way to make others feel loved and appreciated. As the oldest of 3 siblings, Diarra had played an essential role in looking out for her younger brothers and being a positive influence in their lives. Her mother, Diana, emphasized how much Diarra loved her family and how she always found joy in spending time with them. The family, in their grief, leaned on each other for support. Diarra's siblings, though devastated by the loss of their older sister, were surrounded by the love and care of their mother, extended family, and friends. In a heart-wrenching statement, Diana shared that her world felt like it was falling apart, and the pain was so overwhelming that it left her feeling empty inside. The community at J.T. Moore Middle School, where Diarra had attended, also felt the loss deeply. Teachers, classmates, and other staff members who had seen Diarra grow over the years were all impacted by the tragedy. The school immediately offered counseling and support for students and staff to help them process the grief surrounding the loss of such a bright young life. The funeral for Diarra Radley was planned in the days following her death. Family and friends came together to mourn the loss of a girl who had shown so much promise and had so much left to give. A heartfelt memorial service was held where Diarra's family shared stories about her life, her love of singing, and how she touched the hearts of everyone she knew. During the service, her mother, Diana, delivered a tearful eulogy, describing her daughter as the light in their family. She recalled the small moments she cherished, like the phone calls and text from Diarra, and how she would give anything to hear her daughter's voice again. The community also paid their respects, with students and teachers from J.T. Moore Middle School attending alongside family, friends, and other loved ones. The pain of Diarra's absence was deeply felt by everyone in attendance, but the service also served as a reminder of the impact she had on everyone's lives. Diarra's legacy would live on in the hearts of everyone she had touched. Diarra Radley's tragic death raises difficult questions about the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of fate. How could something as small as reaching for keys lead to such devastating consequences? What more can be done to prevent accidents like this from happening in the future? The story also reminds us of the importance of firearm safety, how something as simple as not properly securing a gun can lead to irreversible consequences. It's a sobering reminder for all of us to take responsibility for our actions and understand that even the most unintended mistakes can have life-altering effects. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.